welcome back to Salisbury and Sweetnam Sports Podcast. Slightly different this week yet again after last week's in-betweeners, what we'd like to call success. We're all lacking our technical producer who is revising for his GCSE examinations that he's taking this week and next week, and then it's half term, and then the week after, and then the week after that.
So basically, when things go wrong and we say something offensive, sorry, we don't know how to sort it.
Yeah.
Overall, we discuss a variety of sports on the show. As always, the description will be there to tell you exactly when we are discussing each one. Firstly, Adam, how was your weekend?
My weekend was a gruelling weekend, brimming with sport. I was playing cricket all weekend. Yeah.
How are your games going so far? Are you back into the swing of things?
I'm in a bit of a rut at the moment. I start okay, but then sort of get out. So it's never nice.
How many runs have you hit so far this year?
Not so many.
And how's your bowling been?
Well, I've only had one spell of bowling, and that was on Sunday, and I bowled at 7 overs on the spin. And if my captain's listening, I can't do that anymore. I'm getting too old for this, too heavy for this, and too unfit for this.
A bit past your prime at the age of 19 now.
Absolutely,
yeah. Anyway, my body sort of gave up on me this week after 2 years of lack of exercise. I gave kickboxing a go as my brother's an instructor, and I'll tell you right now, I'm in absolute agony even a few days on.
Did you get twatted?
Didn't get to do any sort of violence, more just working on stuff. It's more the sort of abdominal work that really got to me. You know the exercise where you lie down, you just lift your legs up and down, up and down. And the instructor sort of grabs them and launches them down. Does that really hurt?
Without touching the floor.
Without touching the floor, yeah.
Yeah, really strain on the midriff.
Yeah. Absolute agony.
Yes.
And I'll tell you who else will be in agony. I've got a lovely program idea for you. I pitched this to our group chat the other day, and it's called Bermuda Triangle Tidal Waves. So, we take 8 random people, and we put them on small little rafts out in Bermuda Triangle. We give them some small food rations, a paddle, and a GoPro. They document their journey and see how long they can survive for in sort of like a knockout competition, survival of the fittest.
Yeah, it's a bit like Bear Grylls Mission Survive, just without the beach.
And a lot more danger.
Well, yeah, to a certain extent.
Yeah. Would you be interested in watching that programme?
To a certain extent. I know that the sea can be a cruel mistress.
I love that.
Thank you.
And that could probably be used in the promo. Anyway, moving on to boxing, and something that needed no promotion. It was just an incredibly good fight. Lomachenko versus Linares. Can you give us a bit of background on what these two men's legacy have given this sport?
Well, basically, they are two of the, at the moment, pound-for-pound kings. Linares, an absolutely outstanding, classy operator, slick, great boxing skills. And you might recall him from defeating Anthony Crawler twice last year. And then Vasyl Lomachenko, unbelievable amateur record, two-time, or is it two-time or three-time?
3-weight world champion now.
3-weight world champion, but I meant Olympic title.
Oh, two gold medals in the
Olympics. Two-time Olympic champion. Probably the pound-for-pound king and an absolute class act. In fact, probably the best of all time.
Could well be.
Controversial comment.
It is, but he's currently writing that legacy now.
Yeah.
So anyway, these two men, as being boxing fans, I think it's fair to say that these are two men that we look at from our area and we'll say, these were two of the very, very best. This was a fight that was never really rumoured for years. It sort of all came about at once. It's sort of one of those fantasy matchups which really gets you excited. I saw them across the ring at Madison Square Garden staring at each other and I sort of had goosebumps. It was one of those fights which really does feel that step above the rest. Lomachenko, the favourite going in, and he sort of showed that early doors. Linares had success in the first round or two, but then Lomachenko began to do what he usually does, dance around the ring, coming in at bizarre angles, basically sort of casting a spell on Linares. Unlike most fighters, Lomachenko seems to get a grip over you early and he starts breaking you down and you can have no success whatsoever, and that's what winds people up and ultimately makes them quit. But Linares was that little bit step above the rest. Those dazzling hand speed that he has was about just enough to keep him in the rounds, just enough to keep him going, and just enough to keep him in the fight. And in the 6th round, bang, a right hand landed, and Lomachenko went down for the first time in his career. And the Linares fan club in my living room, featuring me and my father, went off at that moment. Were you surprised to see Lomachenko go down for the first time?
Extremely. I was absolutely startled. Like I said last week, I didn't give Linares much chance in the fight, which seems absolutely obscene considering the talent that this man has. But to see him knock down Lomachenko, that sends shockwaves around the boxing world for me. And me and James were talking about this earlier. It will entice people to want to step in the ring with Lomachenko, those who weren't so keen prior to the fight, because they've seen a weakness there.
Yeah, so Jorge began to really work his way into the fight, and it was the first time we sort of saw, Jorge's the bigger man here, because Vasyl seemed to be intimidated every single time that right hand landed of Jorge, but ultimately the angles kept him fresh and kept Jorge guessing at all times. Jorge could never quite land quite enough to get Vasyl Lomachenko out of there, although the hand speed at times was mesmerising, it really was. Going into the 10th round, Jorge sort of was beginning to get a bit of an ascendancy. Vasyl, of course, was ahead by about 2 rounds, but it looked like Jorge could have a late charge. But ultimately, it wasn't to be, as Vasyl Lomachenko landed a sensational body shot.
It was absolutely huge. It would have knocked out anyone at that weight. There were a few question marks, actually, around, has Lomachenko got the power to knock these bigger men out? But we saw that absolutely he does, and that was an absolutely cruel body shot on Linares.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was the one that ended proceedings, and Lomachenko is now a freeweight world champion. Incredible achievement in only 12 fights.
Absolutely unbelievable. This is an inexperienced man. I mean, yes, he has had 12 fights, but he's had about 400 amateur fights. Obviously, Olympic champion. So he's not It's not as if he's not used to the spotlight. He performs under pressure, and he's an absolute class act.
Yeah, looking back on it now, these are 2 future Hall of Famers, and I think we were privileged to get to see them go into the ring with each other. Linares' dazzling hand speed puts his combinations together so well, really showed his class, and Lomachenko, the angles, the freakish duck and weave style that he has going in, he's in front of you and you can't hit him. These were 2 of the best, and it was a pure privilege to see them go toe to toe.
Absolutely. And by the way, Jorge Linares is extremely good looking.
Yeah, he really is winning at life, Jorge.
He is.
He is.
He could do better than his missus, though.
Really? Because I... Elaborate a bit.
Well, I don't know. She's just not necessarily my cup of tea. I don't think the couple suit each other. If you don't know who Jorge Linares' wife is, she's got huge breasts, blonde hair, quite a curvy female. If she was brunette, I reckon she'd be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
but blondes just don't quite do it for me.
Yeah, you're more of a ginger man yourself, aren't you?
No, brunette for me.
Yeah. I don't rave about her either, but a lot of people quite rate Jorge Linares' wife in the trade.
Yeah.
As you get to see. Of numerous boxing fans voicing their opinions on social media.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on from those 2 little superstars, and moving on to some even smaller superstars, the World Boxing Super Series has been announced for the 2nd season to take place. Oh, sorry. I can't believe I've messed this up.
You disgust me.
Very going to quickly go back. Who should Lomachenko fight next? I can't miss this out. I think there's going to be one name on your lips, and I think it's going to be the same one that's on mine.
I think it's the super fight. Even a larger fight than this one, and it's Mikey Garcia.
Yeah, exactly the same person I was talking about. Mikey, of course, very powerful. And if Mikey does hit Vasyl, he's probably not going to get up. Mikey, once again, a naturally bigger man, doesn't really buy into the whole razzle-dazzle thing. Very technically good, doesn't do anything unbelievably, but does everything to an extremely high standard, and I think he'd give Vasyl a hell of a lot of problems. But anyway, going back onto the Super Series, how did you feel the first 2 tournaments have gone going into this 2nd series?
I think they've been an absolute breath of fresh air. I've really enjoyed them, and I'm mad keen for the Usyk Gassiev fight in the final of the cruiserweight one. So yeah, roll on the next series.
Yeah, a bit of controversy. Eubank Jr. lost to George Groves in his semi-final, and there's rumours due to George Groves' shoulder injury that Callum Smith versus Eubank Jr. could be the final. Would this ruin what's been an excellent tournament?
Yeah, to a certain extent. I mean, it'd be an absolute nightmare, and George Groves is my pick to win the tournament. But I suppose it is one of the flaws in the tournament. What do you do if one man becomes unfit? Yeah, I suppose you have to put Eubank in to a certain extent. You can't just chuck someone in who's not in there. But yeah, I just hope George Groves can do it.
So anyway, the World Boxing Super Series has been announced for the Bantamweight division. We've got the first 3 names confirmed. Zolani Tete, the WBO champion from South Africa. Signed with Frank Warren, huge puncher. He's the first name in that tournament. Second, of Northern Ireland, Ryan Burnett, the silky superstar that's working with Adam Booth. And then the third champion, Burnett of course being the WBA world champion, is Emmanuel Rodriguez, who showed us all how spectacular he is last weekend when he dismantled Paul Butler. What do you think of these first 3 signings, and is it a fantastic start to the Bantamweight tournament?
Absolutely, 3 of the biggest names in the division, 3 title holders, so yeah, exciting times ahead, and there can only be one champion at the end of the tournament, so tune in.
Yeah. So I've put together, of course, the World Boxing Super Series is an 8-man tournament, and I sort of posted my dream lineup on social media, but I'm going to read it back to you now. I'm going to go for the 4th seed, and I'm going to go for the winner of Jamie McDonnell versus Naoya Inoue. Jamie, of course, a very sturdy champion. He's been around for a very long time. Tested, and he's come through those tests. And Naoya Inoue, the Japanese superstar, he had the record for the quickest 2-weight world champion, but of course Lomachenko's broken that. Inoue going for his 3rd title in a 3rd weight class. He's a monster, and I think the winner of those 2 certainly deserves his place in the tournament.
Or both.
Or both, potentially.
If it's a world of a fight, then yeah
Jamie would. Yeah, the loser could maybe earn their place if it's competitive. Next participants in the tournament, Nordine Abali of French and Pechsor Chipatana of Thailand are competing for the vacant WBC world title, which Luis Neri was stripped of. He's somebody that was criticised on social media for not putting it in, but as I explained, it's difficult to put him in considering he's had past steroid issues, and last time he fought at bantamweight, he missed the weight limit by £5. So I think you'll agree it'd be too much of a risk to stick Neri in that tournament.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so the winner of those 2 deserves his place in the tournament. Next, I'm going to throw a name back to you. It's the man who took on Jamie McDonnell twice in Monaco. The first time around, most people thought he did enough to win the world title. Second time around, very close fight. Was stopped in after 4 rounds because Jamie McDonnell unfortunately got cut. But it's Liborio Solis. He's an entertaining fighter, and I'd like to see him amongst the best in that tournament. Okay, thank you for the analysis, which you didn't give me. Anyway, number 7, I've gone for Juan Payano of the Dominican Republic. Big puncher, very aggressive, and I think his style is suited to television fans. And lastly, Jason Maloney of Australia, 16-0 with 13 knockouts. He's a big puncher, and it brings another English speaker to the tournament, and also gives a bit of growth to World Boxing Super Series throughout the world. Of course, nobody from that continent has ever taken part, and I think it'd be good to see growth in other areas of the world.
Yeah.
So that's my dream lineup. Do you think that would make for a fantastic tournament?
I think it would do, yeah. Absolutely. I really enjoy these tournaments anyway, especially if it's on terrestrial TV for us all to enjoy.
Yeah, if ITV don't put on box office, the frauds. Anyway, talking terrestrial TV, 1.5 million people tuned in for Hughie Fury's demolition job on Sam Sexton. What did you make of that fight?
I thought it became clear that Hughie Fury was at world level, an absolute class above than Sam Sexton, who is absolutely no mug at domestic level. And Hughie Fury, it's fair to say, dismantled him, boxed beautifully for the first 3, and the power started to tell, something that he's been working on with Peter Fury, as he told us in 3 podcasts ago, or was it 2?
3 or 4, it was a while ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, go back and watch that if you haven't already. Hughie was let down in his world title fight by that lack of power and not throwing his punches. This time round, he was more than keen to show the adjustments he's made, as you've said. And he blew away Sam Sexton in 5, which was very impressive. And it shows that he has got the power to compete amongst the big boys.
It does. And who could write him off from causing an upset in a world title fight? Certainly not me. And that's where I wanted to see him fight.
Where do you want... What What level of opponent would you like to see Hughie in there next? We forget he's world level. He's only 23 years of age, so we've got time to build him. Would you like to see some gradual step ups, or would you like to launch him back amongst the elite straight away?
No, I'd gradually build him up. I'm a big critique of Hearn and what he did with Joshua. Like, I just put a lot of awful boxes in there with him. But no, for me, Hughie Fury needs to go through the ranks, so to speak, again to get back at that sort of world level, which he'll have no problem doing for me. So, like European, Commonwealth, etc.
Ajit Kabayel, the European champion at the moment. And I think that's a winnable fight for Hughie, one I wouldn't mind seeing him. Anyway, a fighter on the undercard who maybe should have got a decision, but he didn't. Peter McDonough. And I more want to talk about him because of who walked him to the ring. It's Kerry Katona.
Yeah, quite bizarre. I think Kerry Katona's walking anyone to the ring. I'm not sure where she's been of late, actually. She was on the Iceland adverts for years, but I don't know.
She's constantly on Big Brother's bit on the side.
Right, well, I don't watch the spin often.
Yeah. Gotta get on a limb. Is Kerry Katona the most famous, unfamous person in the world? Or more in this country? She's very famous, but she's not particularly famous, if you get what I'm saying.
I think if you mention the name Kerry Katona to a lot of people in this country, then they know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. So she's quite famous. The
Atomic Kitten superstar.
Yeah,
former Queen of the Jungle also.
I know where you're coming from, but yeah, she's quite famous. She's Kerry.
Yeah, she was the runner-up to Paddy Doherty on the reboot of Celebrity Big Brother on Channel 5. Anyway, yeah, she walked Peter to the ring, and she was actually cheering for him quite loudly in the crowd. She was sort of flapping her collar as she was nervous when Peter was taking the bigger punches. But overall, I think Kerry enjoyed her night.
Most likely. And I bet Peter gave her some after as well.
Peter's a married man. Oh, Peter McDonough. Yeah.
Not Fury, you clown.
Yeah, Peter McDonough might have. He was probably quite emotional after his draw. So Kerry hopefully soothed the pain with her velvet Atomic Kitten tones. Anyway, super fight this weekend, and it's at Ellen Road, Leeds Stadium. Josh Warrington, the hometown hero, takes on slick boxer Lee Selby for his first world title. Who wins and why?
Lee Selby wins because he's a class above, to put it simply.
I see Lee Selby as a big favourite in this fight, and if he's at his best, he should be able to jab and move Josh Warrington to a relatively simple 12-round decision. Josh's chance in this fight, for me, is if Lee Selby is really struggling at the weight, he just needs to outwork him, get on his chest, and hopefully grind Selby down. But the most realistic option is that Selby probably wins on points. That'd be my pick.
Ellen Road's an extremely hostile place to go. I mean, I know as a football fan. So hopefully Lee Selby's not fazed by that. As a world champion who tends to do his work on the road, I can't necessarily see him doing that. But no, yeah, Warrington's got a chance with a relentless pressure, but I can't really see anything other than a Selby victory.
Something that might cheer up the Leeds fans a bit, the Kaiser Chiefs are playing live at the stadium. Are you a fan of the Kaiser Chiefs?
Yeah, they've done a couple of really good songs, yes, I don't mind the Kaiser Chiefs. And also, Simon Grayson will no doubt be there. A big Leeds fan and a big Josh Warrington fan.
Does he? I didn't know that. But yeah, I quite like the Kaiser Chiefs. Seen them live once. Big fan of Ruby.
Yeah, Ruby. Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah,
so anyway,
good song.
That was our analysis on that particular fight. And also, the Kaiser Chiefs, as we also do music topics. Anyway, next fight. And it's a big one from Canada. Adonis Stevenson, the man who crushed Tony Bellew in 5 rounds, defends his world title against tough and technically sound Badou-Jack. Tough fight for Badou-Jack?
I think it's a tough fight for both men. It's an absolute cracker about. Jack, obviously, you might know from that epic battle with James DeGale. Obviously, an extremely classy operator, as is Adonis Stevenson, if you can forgive him his sketchy past.
Yeah, sketchy past being Adonis Stevenson used to run a prostitution business. That's right, you heard it. Adonis Stevenson is an ex-pimp.
Yeah, and he's hit a lot of women over the years.
Yeah, he's hit a few. There's actually, if you look it up online, he's done some very, very disgusting things, Adonis, which is why I want him to get beat this weekend, but we'll get on to that.
Yeah. Yes, I think Badou-Jack will win the fight. I think he's an extremely classy operator. I actually quite like him, actually. Whereas I don't like Adonis Stevenson, so I'll be in the corner of Badou-Jack. No, yeah, I think he'll win the fight.
Yeah, Stevenson going in, a narrow favourite with the bookies. due to that sort of class, his extremely long reach, and his massive punching power. I mean, it takes a big puncher to take out Tony Bellew. But the worry is for me is that he's been extremely ring inactive and his level of opposition has been quite poor over the years. I think the best Stevenson would handle Jack probably relatively comfortably, but let's not forget, the man's in his 40s now. Bermuda Jack's pressure is relentless, and I think if he can get himself into that second round of the fight, he'll wear Adonis Stevenson out. But we can't make a mockery of that power. Bermuda Jack, of course, was dropped in the first round of James DeGale, and in the one loss in his career, he was stopped inside a round by Chad Dawson, so he needs to be extremely wary of the power early. But if he gets past that power early, I see Bermuda Jack winning this fight, and I see the underdog win.
Yeah, if you look past freak anomalies, like Floyd Mayweather, Klitschko to a certain extent, etc., then boxing is a young man's game, really. So yeah, at the age should tell.
Yeah, and Adonis Stevenson has also called out Tony Bellew this week in a rematch of their fight from a few years ago. Is that something you'd like to see?
Not necessarily. I think Adonis is just looking at sort of a big payday. It's a relatively comfortable victory, you'd imagine, but who knows?
I'd actually favour Bellew this time around. Of course, we did say that Adonis is getting on a bit, and this will be a tough fight at the weekend, you'd imagine, so he has to come through that. And of course, Bellew's a much naturally bigger man, so if they were to do it at cruiser, I'd favour Bellew, and I think that power would be less likely to take him out at that weight, because he's not as drained as he was at light heavy. And moving on, the featherweight division has been absolutely class over the last few months. These are the top 10 fighters, and they've all gone back and forth. Quig Valdez, Frampton Donaire, we've got Selby-Warrington this weekend. Then Jojo Diaz versus Gary Russell Jr. this weekend also. And Santa Cruz versus Abner Mares in the summer to top it all off. Is it fantastic to see all these featherweights doing battle at the very highest level?
Absolutely. It's quite refreshing, actually, because there's so many divisions where the big boys are avoiding the big boys. So, yeah, it is a breath of fresh air and extremely exciting. And yeah, really looking forward to it. There's a couple of really enjoyable fights ahead.
Yeah, so Gary Russell takes on Jojo Diaz this weekend. Gary Russell, one of the quickest fighters in boxing, unbelievable hand speed, limited foot speed though. His only loss in his career coming to Lomachenko himself, who we've discussed and waxed lyrical about earlier in the show. He's a very classy operator, Gary Russell Jr., but he's got a challenging task this week against the young and hungry Jojo Diaz from Golden Boy. He doesn't do anything spectacular once again, but he's technically solid, he's hungry, and he really wants to win this world title. Ultimately, if I was going to give a pick, I'd probably say that Gary will have a bit too much for him, but Jojo's a live underdog in this particular fight. And another fight that's been rumoured heavily this week, heavyweight fight, the two men have been going back and forth on social media. Lucas Brown versus Dave Allen. What's your opinion?
I think it's a fight that would excite the British public, probably, because obviously Allen's a personality over social media. And Brown obviously needs to get back to some sort of a respectable level. So yeah, I think it's a decent fight for both. I'd probably favour Lucas Brown still after that dismal performance at the O2 though.
Yeah, he was poor at the O2. Judging off his social media, he appears to be taking the sport slightly more seriously now and probably wants to get back to the UK because you'd imagine his pride's been severely hurt by the left hook he took off Dillian White. Personally, this is an entirely selfish view. I agree with you, it probably is a good fight for both. But I like both men and I don't want to see them fight each other. Simple and plain.
No, yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with that, but it's a fight that would get us excited in the lead up, I think. Very excited.
It's one of them that I feel like it's sort of got that Anthony Crillo, Ricky Burns feel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to favour us Lucas, obviously, because he's been at that world level. And of course, even though he didn't look brilliant in his last fight, he still has that incredible power in his right hand, that bus that he carries. And would Dave Allen be able to avoid that for 12 rounds?
Unlikely, as far as I'm concerned, but who knows? I know Allen's also taking the sport more seriously.
Yeah, he is, and he's an extremely hard man.
Yeah, so, look, I don't necessarily expect Lucas Brown to knock Allen out, because even Luis Ortiz really struggled to stop Dave Allen.
And that was a Dave Allen coming off depression and on a week's notice.
Another weight, yeah, so... Yeah, I'd fancy Brown quite heavily, but, no, yeah.
Credit to Dave Allen because he doesn't back down from any man.
I'd be supporting Dave Allen actually because I I told a lot of people that Lucas Brown isn't a bad fighter, and to give him a chance because Dillian White sort of threw that right back.
He isn't a bad fighter, you're right. You just didn't know he was going to come in the shape he did.
Yeah.
Anyway, last subject of the day, Eddie Hearn has been going on and on about his huge American announcement over the past few months. He's finally made it. He's signed a $1 billion deal with streaming company DAZN. He's going to be doing 16 shows a year in America. He's got a huge budget, which is bigger than that of HBO and Showtime. He's going to try and conquer America. Whether you think he does it or doesn't it, fantastic thing for boxing.
Yeah, very good for boxing. And great for America because they've now got 3 channels who are going to show boxing. So fantastic. And they've also got another player in that sort of promotion game over there. So yeah, good for boxing. Whether he'll do it or not is a completely different matter. Sort of conquer America, that is.
Yeah. I feel that, all markets are sort of similar. He's tapped into that British market. You sort of feel like America's a completely different road, a completely different ball game. I sort of feel like he'll have the ability to tap into that casual market once again. It might not be an overnight success, but in a few years' time, and with that huge budget, I feel he'll be able to put on the big fights that country deserves. And alongside Eddie Hearn, Dana White's coming in with the Zoo for Boxing plan. So we'll have 2 of the very best promoters in the game out there promoting boxing. And what's America's sort of lacked over the last few years is personality in boxing promotion, and now they've got 2 of the biggest in combat sports.
Yeah, superb. So yeah, good luck to Eddie Hearn. I don't really like him, but the best of luck to him.
But if he does well, boxing does well, ultimately. Now, moving on to the horse racing, and we're sort of talking violence. Talk through Goodwood with us.
Yeah, some pretty ugly scenes came out of Goodwood, actually, over the bank holiday weekend, and also Ascot this weekend. I just don't get why people who go to racing, it's sort of been brought to our attention now in, suited and booted, obviously had a drink, probably lost a lot of money, probably snorted quite a bit of cocaine.
Clean those toilets. Yeah. That's all I've got to say.
Yeah, why they feel the need to sort of have a mass brawl? It's obscene. Why don't you just go for the racing, have a great time? If you ultimately, if you're race goers, then it's quite likely you're going to lose money if you are the casual. So look, if you lose money, take what you can afford to lose, but there's no point to have a mass brawl. I personally think it's organised. There was a great debate actually on Talk Sport. Jim White claims that we ought to stop selling alcohol until the first race, which I can't agree with because ultimately people are drinking en route to the course, and ultimately people will find a way, whether that's snorting cocaine or drinking before they go, etc. So no. Look, these aren't racing fans, these are people who are just going for a tear up and not much else, really. Absolutely yobs.
Yeah. To describe the violence itself, a man punted another man in the head, reminiscent of the sort of Randy Orton punt, which ended careers in that particular industry. So it's scary and it's something we don't really want to see in sport at all. Of course, we see football hooliganism all the time where the firms meet up and have it. We see it at boxing events. I've been at some awful ones where there have been big groups of people escorted out after throwing punches at each other and even spearing each other down staircases. My great uncle warned me that there's even elements of it creeping into rugby. So overall, violence in sport is something that we don't want to see, and it's something that we need to get rid of as soon as possible.
Yeah, well, rugby fans are mad keen to latch onto the fact that football are all hooligans, and supposedly football are all hooligans, and this rugby are all sort of Tories and love to embrace with each other after the game. So it's quite nice to hear that they're acting like horrible thugs. Really.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that your great uncle said that. But yeah.
Yeah, I just thought I'd bring it up because it's along the lines of what we're talking about. But yeah. Also, another event that took place this week and there was more violence. What exactly happened at Ascot Festival?
No, yeah, I was just saying that, of course, there was mass brawls again. Quite similar to Goodwood. This time there was more of a security presence, which was good to see, but ultimately still violence taking place. So, and the BHA and other organisations within horse racing are going to have to look at this and of course going to have to get more security, more policing, because ultimately this cannot continue.
Yeah, it's truly a disgrace for those who just want to watch the sport, just want to go for a nice day out. They shouldn't have to be around all this violence. But carrying on with the theme of violence, we're moving on to the mixed martial arts. UFC 224 took place this weekend in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. Amanda Nunes was in the main event against Raquel Pennington. Raquel Pennington showed a lack of heart in the fourth round where she said, I'm done to her corner. Her corner persuaded her to carry on, but she was mauled in that fifth and final round by Amanda Nunes, who got the stoppage. She proves once again why she's the best at 135. Hopefully she can have a super fight with Chris Cyborg in a two-weight champion fight later in the year. Co-main event, Jacare Souza, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, took the first round against Kelvin Gastelum when he held him down for 5 minutes. Second round, Kelvin dropped Jacare to take the second relatively comfortably. The third round, Kelvin, superior striking, won him the judge's decision. I thought Jacare's takedowns might have been enough to get him the win, but it wasn't to be. Kelvin takes a step closer to that middleweight title, which will be competed for at UFC 225 by Robert Whittaker and Yoel Romero. Then the next big fight on the card, Vitor Belfort, Lyoto Machida, two former world champions, two legends. Lyoto Machida caught Belfort with one of the worst knockouts I've seen in a long time. A front kick. It was horrific, wasn't it, Adam?
It was. It was... Sorry, I'm just giving off a ridiculous text.
Right, I'll have that give that a read and see what it says.
Sorry. I'm trying to pick a Sunday 11 while doing this. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, it was an absolute chilling blow. He got knocked out by a toe. It was absolutely obscene. Jaw snap, head rock back, done. Flop, knocked out.
Lyoto Machida called Bisping out straight after the fight. I'm sure that the Count, Michael Bisping, will be more than willing to accommodate Lyoto. Now, Vitor Belfort, you know, he's had issues with steroids and whatnot in the past, but he's a former world champion. He decided to lay his gloves in the octagon for one final time. Of course, I think he's lost like 5 out of his last 6, something like that. So he's taken a lot of punishment in the last few fights, and it's probably for himself the right time to call it a day, isn't it?
It is, absolutely, yeah. When you start to get beat, your health becomes more important. So, yeah, a good decision, a refreshing decision.
Yeah. Nick Diaz's return is catching more and more fire as the weeks and days go on. Michael Bisping, a rumoured opponent. I see it somewhat unlikely. I believe it's a fight that could start the likes of Old Trafford, as they are two of the gamest men to ever step foot in an octagon, and two of the greatest talkers to have ever held up a mic. Anyway, this week the octagon goes to Chile for the first time. Damian Maia takes on the Nigerian nightmare Usman. Usman, of course, being a real contender in this welterweight picture. He's an extremely good grappler, but I have to worry about grapplers who face submission artists because their strength often leads into the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialists' game plan, of course. Once you've got one of them on the ground, you're fighting off a submission for 5 minutes at a time. So I wouldn't be surprised if Damian Maia could potentially pull off an upset this weekend in Chile, but Usman is really striving towards that title. Bellator 199 took place. This heavyweight Grand Prix continues to march on. Ryan Bader stopped King Mo inside of just 15 seconds, and he's earned a semi-final place against Matt Mitrione. In the other semi-final, we have Fedor versus Chael Sonnen in one of the biggest fights in Bellator history, and the winner of those two fights will take on each other in a super fight to crown the Bellator heavyweight champion. Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier left it all on the line about a year ago, and now the rematch finally takes place. Two of the hardest men in the sport, two real veterans, two real pioneers, and they will fight once more. Moving on to the darts, we kicked off the night. Barney held Michael Smith to a 6-6 draw.
Yes, he did, and it was a bit of a dead rubber, but
a dead rubber?
You know what I mean? Like,
isn't a used Johnny?
You really are disgusting. No, a dead rubber is a game which has no real meaning in complexion to the leaderboard. Anyway, yeah. So yes, it was a dead rubber. However, still a good game, and these two couldn't be split.
Neither could Peter Wright and Daryl Gurney. Daryl Gurney needed a victory to get himself into that playoff spot, but the last year's runner-up Peter Wright wasn't going to let that happen, and Daryl Gurney, unfortunately, isn't going to make it into the Premier League playoffs this time around, but a good debut season.
Yeah, very much so. An extremely good debut season. Against Peter Wright, he played really well until Peter Wright hit the defining dart in his season where he could no longer catch Anderson. His leg difference. But, yeah, a great season. Will most definitely be in it for years to come, in my opinion. Quite lucky to miss out. But, yeah, good luck to Darryl Gurney.
Next game, it was an upset. Gary Anderson, the Flying Scotsman, and MVG took each other on again. And their styles just seemed to gel. 180 galore, an extremely fast pace, and Gary set a real statement out by defeating last year's winner.
Absolutely. When the two collide, it's
when they collide, they come together.
Well, yeah.
And if they don't, they'll always be apart.
As the great Matt
Cardle.
Was,
and Miley Cyrus, I believe.
Yes. Together. Anyway, yeah. Yes, a scintillating game. And when these two come together, sparks fly, darts fly, and excitement flies. It was a terrific game.
And Kyle off Geordie Shore will get everybody feisty.
Yeah, he will.
Yeah.
However, it was it was in Aberdeen. But yeah, an absolute crack.
Gary were never going to lose in front of his home crowd. The last game, Simon Whitlock's campaign comes to an end. He held the world champion Rob Cross to a 6-all draw. Is it fantastic that we got to see Simon produce a successful Premier League campaign once more? Adam.
It is, because he comes from a land down under. You know.
Then from down under.
Wow.
Wow.
However, yeah, well done to Rob Cross. Instead of playing the bully boy, he's playing Michael Van Gerwen, because he didn't beat the man from down under.
And we'll get on to that now. The the finals of the Premier League of Darts take place at the O2 Millennium Dome on Thursday night. The Thor best players over the course of a season come together for some scintillating dart action. And the first game of the night, Michael Van Gerwen takes on Rob Cross in a rematch of the semi-final of the World Championships, where Rob Cross shot the world when he defeated Michael Van Gerwen in one of the great games of all time. Will MVG want to prove a point?
He will. As far as I'm concerned, Rob Cross, he really is better suited to a longer format for me. And MVG has the edge over a legs format. So for me, the shorter format will tell. I think MVG will progress, but right Rob Cross at your peril. I mean, he's a terrific athlete. He's a world champion.
Second semi-final of the night, two 180 hitters galore, Michael Smith and Gary Anderson. I can't see a world where these styles don't gel. Michael Smith, of course, on the cusp of his first ever major title. Gary Anderson has been here a few times before. Who wins the match? Yeah,
two good pals, actually. Two really good friends. For me, Anderson wins, but Michael Smith, you'd imagine, will come out firing, hit 180 after 180, but Anderson, you'd imagine, would have too much talent for Michael Smith at this stage in Michael Smith's career. But there's no doubt he will go on to bigger and better things.
And then, of course, we'll have a final, and if we've predicted right, that final will be MVG versus Gary Anderson. Two men who've won this tournament before. Who wins and why?
I personally believe that Anderson wins because, look, Anderson's got the sort of edge on MVG after last week. He knows how to beat MVG over a slightly longer format, actually, so that'll be quite interesting. MVG, you'd imagine, will sort of be much better suited to the first of 10 instead of first of 7. But I wouldn't write off Gary Anderson at all. For me, it will be Anderson who wins because he's due, isn't he? I mean, prior to last week, he hadn't beaten MVG in the Premier League since 2015. A man of Gary Anderson's talents, for me, I think he'll go on a roll now of defeating MVG in the big games. However, MVG will want to stretch that sort of illustrious record he has on the title winning spree that he's on. So yeah, a cracking final in store, and that's if they both get there. But for me, Anderson wins the tournament.
Very good prediction, and of course, everything hangs in the balance in our darts prediction league. Also, me, you, and John, the three men on top of the pack. We compete for the 30 sterling on the line in this tournament.
Yeah, quite interesting. If you listen last week, James said it's a 2-horse race between himself and John, but obviously that's not the case now after I predicted Gurney 6, Wright 6, and a nightmare week 2 weeks ago. This week I had the best week out of the lot of us. So yeah, a fantastic week for me, and I'm back in the hunt. It's all very tight at the top.
Of course, unfortunately, the Premier League will come to an end for another year. We have to work through these World Cup squads extremely quickly now. We go into the first one. Australia, Simon Whitlock, Kyle Anderson. Could Corey Cadby have taken part, or just a little bit too early with these two veterans involved?
A bit premature for me. Anderson and Whitlock are better options.
Kim Huybrechts and Ronnie Huybrechts have been two Belgian brothers who've taken the darting world by storm for year upon year. Unfortunately, Ronnie, who really is a great when he's on form, couldn't get in this year. Dimitri van den Berg being the sort of more skillful youngster, he's come through, and the brothers are no more. Kim and Dimitri represent Belgium this year.
Yeah, they're both in awful form, the Huybrechtses. Kim was the better of the two. Dimitri van den Berg's the next big thing from that country. So yeah, extremely welcome to the World Cup, because Ronnie Huybrechts is a bore. But anyway, move on.
And a very good dancer is Dimitri van den Berg. Ronnie Huybrechts is an out-and-out ladies' man. Anyway, the Canadian lineup this year, John Park once again represents his nation as the captain, the former three-time world champ. Last year we had a very charismatic man called Norman representing Canada who really enjoyed his participation in the sport. He's not there this year. Is that a shame?
It is a shame because it was great entertainment. He used to go absolutely off after hitting a treble, but it's great to see Darth Maple on the big stage.
All representatives for this English lineup, current world champion Rob Cross. He said just how proud he is to represent his country on Twitter. We love patriotic men in this podcast. Dave Chismel's the other representative. He's been in a bit of a slope at the moment. Would it have been better to see Michael Smith represent our country?
It would, but only slightly, because I don't necessarily give England much hope in this World Cup. I only got the world champion on side, but I think other nations have too much. But yeah, Michael Smith would have been probably a better suit. However, Chisnell's there, so good luck to Dave.
Yep, the German lineup consists of two very young stars, Max Hopp, adored by the German public, and Claire Balding, of course, being the other representative for Germany.
Yes, good luck to Claire Balding and Max Hopp. They will not win the game in the first round. That's my prediction.
I think they'll get in and around the quarters. Martin Schindler, of course, being the Claire Balding lookalike in this scenario. John Michaels representing Greece, which is a big name. The two Dutch giants who will strike fire into any lineup. Marco van Gerwen, the two-time world champion. Raymond van Barneveld, the 5-time champion of the world. Two future darting Hall of Famers, I suppose. Are this Netherlands team expected to regain their trophy once again?
They are the favourites with the bookies, you'd imagine. And yeah, I think they have every chance. But I don't think they will win it.
And we'll get on to your pick slightly later on. The New Zealand lineup, Cody Harris and the veteran with a lovely hat, lovely glasses and a lovely moustache, Warren Parry.
Yes. A wonderful, wonderful pairing.
The Northern Irish lineup, the young gun Daryl Gurney, the man who won the Grand Prix and came 5th in the Premier League of Darts. He joins side by side with Brendan Dolan, who was the first man to ever hit a 9-darter in the Grand Prix of Darts. How do you see this Northern Irish team doing?
I see Brendan Dolan as a man who's slowly sliding towards darting oblivion. He is not the player he was, but Gurney is well and truly on the climb, so who knows? I can't see them winning it. They might get to the quarters or the semis, but I really can't see them winning the tournament.
Now, the Republic of Ireland side, William O'Connor, the youngster, joins forces with a man who really is making strides in the world of darts. It's the young talent, Steve Lennon.
Yeah, Steve Lennon making a tour final this week. Lost to MVG, of course, but yes, he is one for the future. Real talent. I think this Irish pairing will be very, very good in years to come, but this year maybe a touch too soon.
And now a man who competes with Simon Whitlock for the best beard in darts is the grey-haired Boris Koltzlov of Russia. He combines a very long grey goatee with black sunglasses to make him look like an elderly Terminator. How do you think his darting ability will fare him in the tournament?
I think he's woeful, too slow, but quite good to look at.
Yeah, very good to look at. And his darts are weirdly sort of vibrating the board. Very bizarre, but quite aesthetically pleasing. Anyway, a Scottish lineup of two men that probably should have won the tournament last year but ended up going out in the first round. It's Peter Wright and Gary Anderson, two men who famously don't get along. Anderson had a sort of spat with Peter Wright's wife on social media. A woman who really treats Peter well, who often does his hair hours in advance of tournaments. How do you see this Scottish pairing doing this time round?
I think they'll win it. I really do. I think Anderson's in great nick. I think Wright is making a comeback to form. I think they're well suited to win this title. I think they'll put the differences behind them and win games of darts.
Yeah, and now the team that launched Scotland out of the World Cup last year, it's my old pal Paul Lim and his pal Harry Lim, no relation. They represent Singapore. Paul, of course, being a man who's a legend of the sport, a man who hit a 9-darter a long, long time ago in the BDO World 1990 in the World Championships. Got out. Is that 29 years ago? Very long time. 28. Anyway, 28. Anyway, so yeah. Paul Lim, of course, a spectacular talent, one of the best, one of my favourite darts players. He hit the important doubles last year, which knocked Scotland out of the World Cup, and I'm hoping that Singapore can do a brilliant job once again. South Africa, Devon Peterson is representing once again. How do you think he's doing at the moment?
I think he's alright, Devon Peterson. He's never been a player I've ever got excited about. I can't see. Well, I'm not excited about that team this year either.
The Spanish lineup, Cristian Reyes, the big man, and his partner who did extremely well in the World Championships. Antonio Alcianos, can they be a threat to get to, say, a quarter-final position?
It's underrated, actually. Reyes, extremely good player. Alcianos, under the radar, gets results. So, yeah, watch out for that team. I think they're a decent enough side.
The Swedish lineup, Daniel Larsson and Dennis Nielsen. A very lovely lineup. The Thai lineup, two names that I'm going to really struggle to pronounce, but I'm going to give it a go. Ki Gawin Tavong and Atapal Akabukawia is the Thai lineup. And I may have butchered those.
Why have you put a Thailandish accent onto those names?
Because I'm trying to pronounce. Because T Gawin Nova Tavong is easier to say in a Thai accent, as it sort of just drifts through. Anyway, Big Daddy Darren Young and Larry Butler, two veterans representing the United States. Are you excited to see them again?
I am. Icons in the States, these two. They're absolutely massive when they go home. So, yeah, absolutely fantastic for the sport.
The runners-up of last year's World Cup, the Welshmen, Gawain Price and Johnny Clayton will be the representatives. How do you think Johnny will do? And you're a bit sad to see that Mark Webster hasn't made the lineup this year.
I am, but Clayton, in fairness, has had the better year. Made the final at the Players' Championship. So, yeah, I think the dark horses for this year's title, Gawain Price, obviously, after that horror Premier League, he's going to come back with a bang, I feel. But, yeah, maybe get to the semis this year.
Moving on to the sport of football, and the Premier League has come to an end once again. Will you miss it at all, or do you not really care, as you are, as you said earlier, a championship man?
Yes, I am a fan of a championship football team, so not overly looking forward to that particular league, but when it's on, I enjoy it.
Now, Manchester City have really taken the league by storm this year. Pep Guardiola is showing that he can do it in any country of his choosing, whether it be England or Spain or even Germany. Manchester City captured 100 points this year, 32 wins. They were 19 points clear of their nearest rivals in Manchester United. They scored 106 goals. They were plus 79 in goal difference, and they really were tremendous this year.
Yeah, the best team in the league, ultimately. Guardiola can do it when he has all the money in the world at his disposal. Yes, he makes good sides better, and that's testament to him. An extremely good coach. Yeah, they'll be the best team in the league. I still think they have flaws though. Liverpool exposed those at the back, but no, yeah, I honestly don't think they are the best Premier League team of all time, despite having the most amount of points ever in a season. I just feel like their standard has heavily gone down in this particular year. But hopefully teams hit back next year. There's nothing worse than a team biting the league.
In two teams that have quite literally gone, well, three teams that have quite literally gone down this year, Stoke, Swansea, West Brom. How do you think they fare in the Championship? And are you looking forward to those away days?
I'm looking forward to Swansea away. It's a tick for me. I've never been to the Liberty Stadium. That's exciting. West Brom and Stoke have already done, and they're both not necessarily nice places to go to. So, yes. I think they'll all do relatively okay. I think West Brom are the best suited to push for a challenge to get promoted. But we shall see.
Now, the career of Arsene Wenger at Arsenal has finally come to its end. How should we remember that great manager?
We shall remember Arsene Wenger as a catalyst for ultimate success in this country. He did an absolutely phenomenal job with Arsenal. He turned Arsenal into a football club, and just a relatively normal size, obviously quite big, but normal size big team into one of the world elites. He exposed the French market, especially when he first joined, absolutely phenomenally, like no one else had ever done, ever. A great exponent of the transfer market in his early days. He made the most scintillating additions, brought in some of the best players the Premier League's ever seen, and produced the best team, in my opinion, that the Premier League's ever seen in that invincible year. 7 FA Cups, 3 major titles, well, 3 league titles in this country, and this man really deserves a knighthood for me.
A knighthood?
I do believe he deserves a knighthood, and I agree with Piers Morgan's tweet. I know it's quite hypocritical coming from him, who's had a bit of a Wenger witch hunt for the last sort of 3 to 4 years, but what he's done for this game in this country, he, along with a couple of others, made the league what it is today. So, yeah, Arsene Wenger deserves a knighthood in this country for services to football.
Anyway, moving on. Mo Salah has broken the all-time goal record within 38 games in a season. He scored 32 goals, which has taken him above the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo and Alan Shearer. What a player Mo Salah's been this year.
He has been an absolutely fantastic addition to Liverpool, an extremely good price, a bit of a bargain. He's an absolute world-class player. And yeah, it's good to see Harry Kane not get it, because
he'll claim it.
Yeah, hopefully Harry Kane wakes up and scores goals in the World Cup for England. But no, yeah, it's good to see a bit of competition at the top of goal-scoring affairs, and well, it's not necessarily hopefully though, Mo Salah makes an impact in the Champions League final.
And would you believe that Mo Salah is only the second best Egyptian striker to grace the Premier League? Of course, Amir Zaki being the all-time great.
I thought you were going to say Mido then.
I wasn't. Amir Zaki, the most ripped footballer I've ever seen grace a field. Yeah, and in that small spell of about 5 weeks that he was at Wigan Athletic, he was one of the all-time greats that I've ever seen on a pitch.
Well, yeah, two Egyptians who love to score at Anfield.
Yeah, a bicycle kick from Amir Zaki. One of the all-time greats. YouTube it if you've not seen it. Anyway, moving on to the Championship playoffs. Derby won 1-0 in the first leg against Fulham, but just tonight, Fulham have turned that all around. They won 2-0, and they will be going into the Championship final playoff.
Yeah, I'm quite nervous, actually, because I really like going to Craven Cottage. If there's one place I don't like going, it's Pride Park. So, unfortunately, Derby have to stay down. I just hope that Fulham get beat at Wembley. Look, they probably are the third best team in the Championship this year, as Cardiff and Wolves are already up. But there's one place I love to go, and that's London, especially Fulham. I'd swim down the Thames to get to Craven Cottage. It's a fantastic place to go.
I can't believe you're so keen to spend time in the south.
Well, there's special places to go in the south, and Craven Cottage is one of those. It'd be a horrible thing to lose it to the Premier League.
Anyway, the second semi-final, Aston Villa lead Middlesbrough by 1-0 going into the second leg. Can Middlesbrough overcome that, or do you think Villa should go through?
Aston Villa are the favourites, of course, but Tony Pulis' men hopefully can come out to revival, because to swap Middlesbrough to go to the Premier League and keep the Cottagers down, that'd be fantastic. If the two grounds I didn't want to lose out on next season, it was Villa Park and Craven Cottage. So yeah, hopefully Middlesbrough turn it around. I'd be surprised if they do.
Now, Chelsea, unfortunately, this year will not be participating in the Champions League. Do you think the Europa League now is where they belong?
I think it is where they belong. They've always belonged there. Prior to Roman Abramovich, they've never been an overly big club. So it's good to see them stay down, and you can write them off from winning the league next season as well, because they're a team who do not perform in Europe. If they're not in Europe, then they tend to go on and do well in the league. But when they're in Europe, they struggle in recent years.
Now, a man who I believe is one of the most underappreciated footballers that the Premier League has seen in a very long time. Michael Carrick, unfortunately, has had to call it a day in his football career due to medical conditions. He'll now be a coach. I think he'll be sadly missed in this Premier League.
Yeah, Michael Carrick is one of the best midfielders that I've ever seen in the Premier League. An absolute class act. Has gone under the radar. Never really got an opportunity for England necessarily. Wow, what a player Michael Carrick is. And he will be sorely missed, actually, in the Premier League. As United sing, it's hard to believe he's not Scholes.
He's magic, you know. And I'll tell you who else is magic. Yaya Toure. Another scintillating midfielder. His career has come to an end at Manchester City. Sad to see him go also.
Yeah, rest in peace, Toure.
Yeah, not dead.
I'm shocked he's not dead. Of course he's not dead. No, yeah. One of those players who has been an absolutely fantastic addition for Manchester City, and was there when they became absolutely outstanding. So yeah, he's a legend of that football club. I hope he stays in England because he's a bit of a charismatic bloke. I mean, he's the bloke who complained and didn't play for Manchester City for numerous weeks because he didn't wish him happy birthday, didn't buy him a cake.
I'd be livid if I didn't get a cake on my birthday.
Yeah, I know, but not for your occupation. Imagine going into hot and cleaning and Craig's coming in with a cake.
I'd be absolutely over the moon if Craig Dickinson came in with a cake for me.
You know what I mean? But it's just sort of unrealistic. Yeah. Would you not go in for a couple of days if Craig needs to play with a cake?
I'd be complaining harassment in the workplace if Craig didn't provide me with a cake. Anyway, somebody else who is unfortunately heading over to the retirement home for Premier League footballers, Wayne Rooney, is going out to the MLS and has apparently signed a deal with DC United.
Yeah, in principle, I think it depends if Linares is at Everton next season. Wayne Rooney's an absolute legend of our generation in the Premier League. Obviously, he's scored a hell of a lot of goals, won a lot of titles, won a lot of trophies in general. So yeah, it's quite sad to see. Unfortunately, the fairy tale ending of his career didn't quite come to fruition at Everton. So he's going over to the States, where I'm sure Colleen will be frothing at the bit, a bit like Posh Spice was all those years ago.
Yeah, she loves to follow the money, does Colleen.
Look, that's not true. Colleen Rooney is a self-made millionaire through being a fashion guru.
So she's a Gokwan wannabe.
Look,
how good do you look naked is the question I want to ask you.
Well, I look absolutely outstanding.
Alright, fair enough.
Yeah. And the dad bod is really coming on nicely. But,
you're 19, which is slightly concerning,
yeah,
but go on.
Slightly concerning. But no, yeah. I've completely forgotten where we were.
Colleen Nolan, Gokwan, that sort of
Colleen Nolan? Rooney? Colleen Nolan certainly goes where the money is.
Oh no, I like Colleen Nolan, a former winner of Big Brother.
I'm sorry, but Colleen Nolan goes where the money is.
Look, she's an excellent host on Loose Women.
Well,
which I've decided, if I can't think of anything else, is going to be our topic for next week, starting. It's in a Loose Men lineup.
Alright. Interesting.
Yeah.
Loose.
Yeah. Loose. We'll come up with a few greats for that. That's what I'm going to do next week. Look forward to that if you've made it to this point in the show.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Colleen Rooney, yeah. She'll be bloody loving the States, you know, man.
Yeah. That Factor 50 rubbed all over the body, in the sunshine.
Of Wayne, because she tans well, I think.
Yeah, I can't imagine Wayne tans particularly well. I imagine he burns quite severely. He won't be wearing a vest out there doing the barbecues, I wouldn't imagine.
No, probably not.
Anyway, a programme which I noticed while scrolling through my Sky Planner. I was looking to record Selby-Warrington, which is a big boxing match taking place this weekend. I noticed John Barnes' Poetry in Motion, which I can't imagine being anything other than absolutely outstanding.
Oh, yeah. I can't say that I've ever heard of it, but...
I haven't either, but John Barnes' Poetry, Carol Ann Duffy.
I might look for it on demand.
Yeah.
And get put in a beach coma.
Never go back.
You really are a paedophile.
So anyway, a scrap that took place this week. Have you seen Mark Noble's attempt to strike Paul Pogba?
Yeah, many people claim that Mark Noble really is a true Brexiteer, and that showed a bit. Or a racist.
I think he just saw Paul Pogba dabbing and said enough's enough, Paul.
Yeah, fair enough. Absolutely fair. I would not. I wouldn't unadvocate that, if that's a word. But no, yeah. Well done, Paul. And well done, Mark, for not getting sent off, because that was a red card.
The FA Cup final takes place this weekend to be exact. Chelsea Football Club struggling a bit at the moment there, of course, in the Europa League. I have to favour my beloved Manchester United to win the game. How do you see it going?
I personally think that Chelsea at this point will win it because it's Conte's last game. Can he get a tune out of his players? I think so. I think he'll get a tune out of his players. Mourinho's been a long, hard season. Will not fancy backing against him, but I think Chelsea are going to win it.
Interesting. Now, the final thing I'm going to delve into in this football section of the show is junior football. My little brother's Luke's football career came to an end, and it's a very saddening part in life where you have to hang the boots up at the junior football level.
It is. It's something I didn't necessarily have to do. I saw my sort of career dwindling to a close. When you become sort of a player who can't live up to his previous sort of performances.
You're saying you were very good in the day, but you sort of passed that prime.
I was massively coming to an end.
Yeah, that's worrying. You were 11 years old when you hung up.
That's why I had to give it a close. I had an illustrious record as it is. Won numerous titles, but it was time to hang up the gloves and the boots.
Yeah, what standard were you playing at?
I was playing in the Premier Division.
There we go.
But yeah.
Yeah. My little brother's team this week defeated a team that had won every single game all season, so congratulations to them for getting the final win and going out on a massive high.
Well done, Luke's team.
Yeah. My football career took a slightly different path to yours. You were playing in a comfortable Premier League sort of place. I was always a bottom league standard player. When I started playing competitive football in year 8, so how old was that? About 13 years old. Anyway, we sort of scrambled a team together from players from like all sorts of different teams. And unfortunately, we were too late to join the Central Lancs League, so we got turfed out to the East Lancs League. So we were travelling to Blackburn every single week to get beat 8-0. It was a very troubling time for us all in that team. But we got through it. Second year, we put a better team together. We were able to move to the Central Lancs Division, and we were no longer in a championship. We were in the bottom league, which is where we were, to be realistic, more suited. We put together a decent 3 seasons leading up to me being 16, and that's when I decided to call it a day, rather than going on to senior level. You played in the Premier League, I was in the bottom league. Technically, not the best player in the world. High work rate and real commitment to slide tackles where my strengths lied.
Yes, I've seen James play quite a lot, and I'd compare him to a man called Ben Thatcher, renowned for hefty tackles and being a brute on a football field. Also, the sort of tackles that you might have seen off James back in the day. Type in Dean Oldman Rear's tackle for Southport. Those are the sort of tackles James committed. 2-footed into the lower spine.
Yeah. My aim was sort of, as long as you get the ball, it doesn't overly matter if you take out the man. Was sort of my aim of a slide tackle.
How often did you get the ball? However, got the man.
I'd say the combination of both was 80% of the time.
Really?
When I committed to a challenge, I tended to get both.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I've taken out goalkeepers and centre-backs, both via bicycle kick, where I've sort of either tried to clear it or tried to score a football goal. I once went up for a corner. I used to play in the right back position. I ended up going up for a corner. I tried to bicycle kick a goal, saw my names in lights, and completely booted down a keeper, who I'm surprised actually was able to get up.
Oh, it sounds like comedy.
Yeah, and I've once taken out a centre-back when I was also up for another corner. And it allowed our team to score a goal because there was no other man, close enough to the ball to stop it.
Right.
And I remember once, I was playing against a team called Lancome, which were one of our big rivals of New Longton Rovers Junior Football Club. And he was sort of kicking at my heels, so I sort of put him down. And then the ref sort of said to the complaining Lancome player, he's just letting you know he's there, which I think is extremely important at junior football level. Is nowadays, there's too many people rolling around the floor, all that sort of nonsense, sort of making a mockery of the game, making us look like wimps. So yeah, I think it's good to see that refs are sort of trying to establish a sort of tougher football environment for the juniors to play in.
No, I couldn't agree more. We need to harden up our players, and that's why I'd suggest 11 James Sweetnams take on 11 of England's brightest prospects.
And I'm more than willing to take on that challenge. I can't guarantee how many times I'll get the ball, being blatantly honest.
I don't think you'll get near him, but hopefully you sort of get near the man and really commit some awful tackles.
I can't see Sterling coming out without at least one broken leg.
Raheem Sterling, yeah. A real result for everyone.
Yeah, and it seems things run in the family, because when I went to watch my brother this weekend in his final ever game, he was putting in some truly awful challenges, and I couldn't help but be a little bit proud.
Fair enough.
Anyway, so that was our view on the world of junior football. Hope you enjoyed. Now, Adam, a man who spent a lot of time working in the West End in his acting career.
What?
I assume you caught every last second of Eurovision this year.
Yeah, I caught a hell of a lot of Eurovision this year, actually. I absolutely love Eurovision. Look, we have parties on our street most of the time. Kingsfell Drive. It's renowned for Eurovision parties. Is it bollocks? No, yeah. I caught aspects of Eurovision. I can't say I'm overly keen on Eurovision. One thing I do enjoy about Eurovision, though, is going through all the nations and hoping for that couple of points for the United Kingdom, but they never seem to come. Well, they didn't come this time.
They haven't come for a very long time. Even when we send the big guns in, like Engelbert Humperdinck, we still can't seem to get a result.
And Blue. Even Blue didn't win.
Yeah, Blue should be winning Eurovision, for God's sake.
You'll see that Simon Webb's got the best body I've ever seen on Irish Celebrity. And as for Duncan, I still haven't quite got over the fact that he's bisexual.
Yeah. Your regular comments on the male physique is beginning to get a little bit startling. But we'll move on from that. Yeah, I've not seen much of Eurovision since that Austrian woman with a beard won it a few years back. The Mo Salah lookalike.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's like Mo Salah. I suggest more like Ryland/Olivier Giroud. Now that's a good lookalike.
Ryland/Olivier Giroud. You've gone for two different worlds there.
A mix of the two. That's racist again.
No racism there whatsoever.
Well, just because Britain's come out of the EU or it's coming out of the EU does not mean that the EU is a different world.
I think you've really scraped that argument together because that's not what I was talking about. But anyway, I believe Israel won it this year, didn't they?
All right, you talk about homosexuality, are you? You homophobe.
What the hell are you talking about? I just said
different
that.
worlds. Ryland and Giroud.
Yes, one is a footballer, the other hosts Big Brother.
All right, I see. Yeah, all right. You don't even host Big Brother.
So a bit on the side.
Emma Willis does.
Big Brother's bit on the side, Ryland Clark.
Is he? Ah.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what you're talking about.
That's you putting filth in my mouth.
But we can't even cut that because we've not got a technical producer today. But anyway, moving on, that was Eurovision. First things first, we do have Uber in this country, don't we?
We do, yeah, in the big cities.
Yeah, I've never personally got an Uber. I don't know if you have.
I have.
Have you? What are they like?
I just like taxis, but sort
Exactly.
of more relaxed.
Yeah. Anyway, Uber have stated that within the next 3 years, we could potentially have flying cars.
Yeah.
Incredible. I personally don't see an overall need to flying cars. I think roads probably do the job.
Well, I think roads are pretty sufficient enough, yeah. They're quite dangerous. Imagine crashing and then coming to a crashing fall to the ground.
Yeah, I'm assuming what happens if a car runs out of gas in the air? It just sort of drops.
Well, yeah.
Uber's dropping everywhere.
Does that mean that there's air petrol stations? Airbnbs? Oh, sorry, there already is Airbnb.
I don't know if we're just going to live life in the sky in a few years' time or not. I've always seen that on futuristic films, but I've never overly seen the need for it. No. Why we can't just stay on the ground.
No, I'm okay with groundwork, I really am. Plus, heights aren't necessarily that good for me, really. But, yeah.
I mean, you've challenged yourself to go ape in the past.
Well, look, I can't say I want to shy away from a challenge, but I prefer not to be.
Constantly in the air.
Plenty of feet up in the air,
yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so what's the advert where... It's a gas advert where the sort of everybody stood on top of the planet. Help me. It's on all the time. Right, I can't give my example then because you don't know what it means. Anyway, as a huge royalist, I'm sure you're buzzing for the royal wedding this weekend.
Can't wait. Absolutely can't wait. You know what I'd rather do, which I probably will be doing?
Go on.
Going to Penwitham Live.
Penwitham Live, where all the young Penwitham singers get together to perform outside venues like Spa.
Yes, and if you want to see a cracking performance at Spa, I think Matthew Whittingham's on at 10 PM on Friday night.
Yeah, local lad Matthew Whittingham. I think he was doing the Christmas concert in and around that time as well. So hopefully he produces a good showing at Spa.
A real showman, class act, can really sing well. But no, yeah, it is, of course, what the hell we were talking about before? The royal wedding, yeah.
The royal wedding, yeah.
Yeah, what a lot of bollocks. Have a cracking time watching that if you do. What shit lives you must lead.
I think there'll be a few royalists in this country. I can't see a world where my mum's not watching it, I've got to be honest.
Well,
and I think your mum will be watching it too, and especially your gran.
Yeah, granny will be watching it, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. We've got an actress going into our royal family now. Tremendous.
A rugby player and an actress within the space of a couple of years.
Who's the rugby player?
Mike Tyndall.
Who did Mike Tyndall marry? Beatrice or whatever?
Zara Phillips.
Congratulations to Mike Tyndall.
Did you not know that?
No. I can't say
What world do you live in?
I'm not that up to date on the lives of rugby players in the royal family.
Whatever.
Oh, yeah. MTV's X on the Beach came to an end again this last Tuesday. What did you make of this year's version of X on the Beach?
I thought it was a cracky series. I couldn't take my eyes off it. Really enjoyed it. I really, really did.
Yeah. I wasn't overly into it this year. I don't know if I'm getting older or the show's just deteriorating.
I personally think it was really amusing this year.
You know, I remember the days where, you know, sort of like the first 3 series when they've gone out to like Mexico and stuff, where you had the likes of Bear and Liam and people like that, Vicky Patterson and Ricky off Geordie Shore turning up. I sort of liked that era. This series was alright. I'm more watching it due to habit. I thought it was a bit dead in the water. Wasn't overly a fan of that Zach. I thought he was a bit of an arrogant fella. It was made for me when Gino arrived on the scene, and I've said some stupid things to women in my lifetime, but telling a woman I'm getting with that her boobs sag and that she looks like a drag queen are things that I couldn't even get out of my mouth.
Yeah, I think it was absolutely comedy. Absolutely hilarious, that.
Yeah, he really did. He sort of was on the cusp of success with two out of the 3 girls he tried it with, and ruined it for himself.
Yeah.
Quite a charismatic and...
But never mind, because he pulls at home.
Yeah, he doesn't know what's going on at X on the Beach. He's really good at home. Last topic. The TV show's episodes came to an end after 5 fantastic series. A British couple who got to the States to try and design their comedy show for a new audience are taken aback by the inner workings of Hollywood and are destroyed when they are made to ruin their show by the addition of Matt LeBlanc, who of course played Joey in Friends. He plays himself, and we get to see how actors and how managers and how promoters and production people all corrupt together and ruin television shows, and how hard it is to work out there. An absolutely sensational comedy written by David Crane and Jeffrey Clarick, who are life partners. The show was nominated for Emmys. It's wonderfully dry. Also, congratulations to Tasmin Gregg, who is an excellent actress who played Beverly, Stephen Mangan, and of course Matt LeBlanc, who won an Emmy in the show and a Golden Globe. So, to play us out, the theme, thank you very much. Goodbye.